Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make a frontal wig on a adjustable frontal cap that I got from Amazon. I'll leave the link below, so let's jump right in. Okay, so we're working with the size 22 canvas head today, and first thing we're going to do is put the cap on the head so that we can position it right to put the frontal on correctly. This extended lace is going to be your guide as to where you lay your frontal. So what we're going to do is pin it down so it doesn't get in our way. I'm working with a 13 by 4 HD frontal, and what I'm doing right now is just finding the middle of it by folding it in half. And once I find the middle, I'm going to pin that to the middle of the cap. You can kind of use the line that's going down the middle of your canvas head to find where the middle of the head is. Now it's time to lay down the sides, so we're going to pin it down directly how the frontal is flowing, with the end going over the elastic adjustable part of the cap. Once you're done pinning the frontal down, go through and make sure that it's laying flat. Now it's time to stitch the frontal to the cap. I like to start my knot away from the frontal so that there aren't any lumps when I start stitching. I start sewing right above the elastic band into the frontal and through the mesh. I work my way down and then work my way back up, making sure to only go through the mesh and not the elastic band. I'm just going to keep doing this small stitching until I get completely to the other side, and I'm going to end that stitching on the other side exactly the same way I started on the opposite side. Once you're done sewing down your frontal, you're going to pin down your measuring tape to your canvas head and begin your lines. I like to do 1-inch lines but you can do 1 inch or half inch. It just depends on what you like, your preference. I like to do 1 inch and then half an inch between lines 1 and 3. Now this cap does come with a little extra material in the back, so I like to adjust it so that it's flush to the back of the client's head. There are many different ways to doing this technique. My particular technique is to make a straight line fold directly down the middle of the cap. I pin it down until I get into the top, somewhat to the top of the head, and then I take a needle and thread and I stitch that together. Now this is the most tedious part, but definitely the most important. On the inside of the wig, you have a little bit of elastic band left. You're going to stitch that to the frontal. This will allow you to be able to adjust your frontal to your head. You can make it as tight or as loose as you want when you adjust the straps. This is what gives you that true glueless feel of your wig. You won't have to use any glue, any gel, any spray or anything, because you can adjust it as tight as you want. If you don't do this part, I can guarantee you your wig won't be truly glueless with this type of cap. While I'm stitching, I'm carefully going through the mesh and through the lace at the same time, making sure not to pull too tight, especially with HD lace because it's so thin, it's easy to rip, especially over time. if somebody is too rough with adjusting their straps, it can possibly put a hole in the lace. So just make sure you're not pulling too tight when you're doing this stitching. You're only going through the mesh, not through the elastic. If you go through the elastic, the adjustable straps won't be able to move. I've sewn alongside of the elastic band on one side through the mesh. Now we're at the very tip where the elastic ends. This is the only time you're going to sew through the elastic, on this very tip. This is what's going to anchor the elastic band to the frontal and make it truly adjustable. Okay, we're done with the tip, and now it's time to sew along the edge on the opposite side of the elastic. Once again, we're only going through the mesh, so you're going to carefully go through the lace and through the side of that mesh that's covering that elastic band. Please make sure not to pull too tight because you don't want to rip your lace. So now that I'm done stitching, I'm going to go ahead and end my thread with a knot, but I don't like to end my knot on the edge of that lace where I finished stitching, because I don't want it to mistakenly get cut off during the install process. So I just take the needle through the mesh and I put a knot like right where you see it on top, somewhere near where I ended it, but not too far from it. Now that I'm done stitching the elastic on the opposite side of the wig, I'm going to go in and cut off all of the excess cap that I don't need on the inside of the wig, making sure to carefully not to cut my finger or the lace. And here is the finished product. We have the HD lace attached to the adjustable cap, and it looks very professional. Here I'm just showing you how the elastic band is attached to the frontal and is truly adjustable. Just look how flat it is. Now it's time to sew our wefts to our cap, and all you have to do is just follow the lines that you made earlier. Making sure not to stretch the cap as you're sewing. Keep your hands steady and just guide the wig through the machine and let the machine do all the work. Once I'm complete sewing all of my wefts to my cap, I went ahead and styled the wig off camera. If you like this video and would like to see more, please like, subscribe, and share. Bye!